Hey Quad Bros, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have played upwards of 12 plus hours of Tunisia at this point. I've had a blast playing it. It really has quickly become my favorite campaign as I kind of expected it to. And so we're going to be doing a full review over Tunisia, and it's going to be Tunisia, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's get started here with the good. And well, actually, before we get started, I do want to say, guys, that I am going to trash on this campaign just a little bit. And I just want to make it clear here that I really love this campaign. I love what Darkflow has done with it. And so me being critical of that is coming from a place of I want the game to be better, not a place of malice or kind of frustration, but or anything like that. Like truly, I love this and I want it to be better, and that's why I'm kind of doing this, and that's why I'm giving this feedback. Not because I hate it or anything like that. Like, I truly love this campaign. I really think it's amazing, and I think it could be better, and that's kind of what my feedback is kind of going to be about. So starting off here with the good, guys, and there's a lot of good about it, so let's jump right into it. First off, the new weapons. The new weapons in the game are amazing. I love playing around with them. The new Thompson is just fantastic. It is a laser. It's so fun to use. It's terrible at mid and long range, which it should be, but up close and personal, man, when you breach into a building, my God, there is very few weapons in the game better than it. I think it's on the level of the PPSH, or actually probably more like the PPD, maybe not the PPSH. It hits hard, it fires fast, and man, oh man, it's a monster. The Armaguerra, really fun. The semi-automatic for the Italians, really fun to use. The Carcano rifle, great unique bolt action rifle. My God, the SMLE Mark III. All of these rifles in the game, God, I really do love them, guys. They are so much damn fun to use. I'm so excited for the full campaign where we are going to get even more of these new unique weapons. I'm looking forward to getting like the Vickers K, more Italian weapons and things like that. It's just going to be so much fun. And these new weapons on these maps is what really is the icing on the cake, because guys, the maps are far and away the best part about this campaign. I mean, they are unique. The interiors are so well done. I mean, look at this palace here. You've got like ivy on the walls, or whatever that is, like flowers on the walls and things like that. You've got these like really unique objectives to fight in. They don't have unique names. Like half of them are called guest house or palace or something like that. But regardless, like you just have these like amazingly unique areas that are so fun to fight in. And like this objective that you're seeing here is like, it's got this huge open area in the middle that's really good for like rifles, but then it's got these like side corridors that are really good for close range weapons. So that's really interesting. And how you kind of approach these objectives and approach these areas, really unique. The environments just are absolutely gorgeous, like I said. And guys, the pacing of the game combined with these maps is amazing. The amount of times where I've sat like on a building with a bolt action, just like doming guys and like picking guys off as they try to push an objective, is just incredible. It's so fun. It's something that you don't get in the other campaigns. It's this like slower paced gameplay that, I mean, you just don't get in the other campaigns. The other campaigns just evolve into semi-automatic, charging the enemy, spraying as much as possible. Not a whole lot of tactics involved with it. And this really does feel tactical. I mean, in this campaign, you know, your guys with LMGs and SMGs and like things like that like feel so powerful because you only have like one of them. And yeah, that's probably going to change in the future once we get our progression and things like that, which I'm honestly not really looking forward to because I like the system we have right now. But it feels like you've got like a squad leader with an LMG and then everyone else has like rifles, which is just really cool, right? And so it's like when you're sniping, you actually want to like pick off the guy with the BAR or the LMG or the SMG, because it's like, oh man, if I take this guy out, like he's down to just rifles, which is huge for us, right? Like I found myself picking up LMGs and things like that so much more often than I would in other campaigns, because the firepower that you get is so crazy. It's so important, right? Like it can really turn the tides, which is just it's just so different from the other campaigns. It makes for a really unique experience that I have just absolutely loved to play in. So new weapons, guys, the maps, the pacings, really I cannot sing the praises of this anymore because it's just so amazing. Like I could talk about it forever. I love those things. Next up, guys, the premium squads, the motorcycle specifically. I love these damn things. They're so dumb. They're terrible. Like they're absolutely terrible. Like they're not going to get you a bunch of kills. Like sometimes you can kind of lock down an area, which is pretty fun, and get a bunch of kills. But once real players have really started to populate these areas, in these matches. I think the motorcycles are going to be even worse than they are now. But man, while streaming, guys, the amount of times that you like skirt around a corner and there's a whole squad of dudes and you like start blasting them, and then you like skirt past them and you like run a guy over, and then you're driving away down a road while rifle fire is like trying to pick you off from behind. Oh man, it's so cinematic, it's so fun, it's so goofy, and it's stuff like that that I just wish Enlisted had more of. It's sometimes I feel like Enlisted takes itself too seriously. And yeah, it's a World War II game, but like to an extent, man, like it's still a video game. Like I want some of this kind of goofy stuff, and nothing that's like completely, ridiculous and unhistorical or inhistorical or whatever. But like these motorcycles are just so damn fun to use, and I really do love them. I cannot overstate that. Like it's so amazing using them, and we had so many times yesterday where it'd be like me and my squad of like 3 or 4 against like Game Prodigy squad of 4 or something like that. Or whoever's on the other team, and we'd like roll down the road, like we'd all spawn in motorcycles and we'd roll down the road and we'd be like, motorcycle gang, roll out, and like we'd roll down the road and like Prodigy and his crew are on the other side of the road all in their motorcycles, and it's like this gang war where everyone's in motorcycles, like sidecars with LMGs firing at each other. Oh man, it was just so funny, and like these just big motorcycle battles, it was just cracking me up the whole time just playing that. Like the biggest gripe I have with it is that the side or the second rider, the rider on the back, can't shoot. I wish he could, because then we could do motorcycle jousting with swords and things like that. Like right now we can't do motorcycle jousting, which in my opinion is just an absolute complete travesty. I don't think that it would break the game in any way, shape, or form to be able to have a guy on the back seat shooting an MP40 or something like that. I mean, you can shoot out of vehicles already. Speaking of vehicles, they've got these big ass party buses in the game, which are hilarious. Like we would just drive around in these party buses, like spraying LMGs out of the side of it. Like, or like drive them onto objectives and like 15 guys would jump out inside an objective. Oh man, it was so fun. Like there's all these like goofy fun things that you can do in the campaign right now that I just love. I think it's just absolutely amazing. And motorcycles, big part of that. Next up, guys, trenches. Trenches aren't really a good. They're more of a meh. Like, I don't think anyone's going to spend the time to dig these for the most part. Some players out there obviously will, but me, I'm not really going to dig trenches. Like, they're not really that relevant. I could see making a video of digging, like, a freaking moat and filling it with barbed wire or something like that. Like, that would be kind of funny. But, like, for the most part, guys, like, I just don't think these, the digging the foxholes and stuff is going to be totally relevant. So it's cool that it exists. It's not super relevant. It doesn't matter that much. But again, I'm glad that it exists, because I think some people are going to really enjoy using it, and some people are going to find some enjoyment doing it, and that's fine. So glad the trenches exist. Artillery smoke is fantastic. I love artillery smoke. We had a lot of battles where we'd call the artillery smoke in and push, and you're kind of like, you're pushing into a building and it's like covered in smoke and you can't see anything, and you got bolt actions. Really, really cinematic stuff. Really, really fun. Just absolutely a blast to play around and things like that. But let's move on to the bad here, guys. First up, there's kind of a poor vehicle choice. Like, I don't really know why the German plane just crashes into the ground. And I should preface the bad area here with, these are problems that I see with it that I think are very easy to fix, and I think will be fixed. So I don't really have a huge problem with them, but I want to leave the feedback nevertheless and just give you guys a full review. So number one, the vehicles. I don't know why the German plane is just, it's the Flying Duck. From you guys that play War Thunder, you probably know it. I can't remember. It's the HS-123 or something like that. I don't know. That might be the biplane that I'm remembering. Regardless, it doesn't fly. It's like a glider. It just crashes into the ground. Like, you get one strafing run and then you die, which kind of sucks. Oh, I should also mention the good. Forgot to mention this. You don't get bombed all the time in this campaign, which is amazing. And that's probably going to change when progression comes out. But God, I love not getting bombed all the time. It's so refreshing to like actually shoot people with a rifle and get killed by rifles and not get killed by bombs every 8 seconds. And I know that they nerfed bombs and I've heard good things, but even if I got killed by them once per game, I'm just going to be like mad about it because I hate planes that much at this point. So anyway. Yeah, planes, the Flying Duck sucks. It just crashes into the ground. The Italian, the Axis, frickin' tank destroyer. I don't think tank destroyers have any place in Enlisted. They make sense in War Thunder, obviously, but they don't make sense in this game. Like, you just don't use them. Like, you can't properly use them because they don't they can't kill infantry. The one in the game just has a massive AP shell, which, yeah, I've seen people get some pretty gnarly multi-kills with it, but for the most part, guys, you're really just not going to be dealing with infantry with this thing. It's pretty much just like, oh, they got a Grant? Great, let me spawn this tank to kill it. Which, I don't know, in my opinion, is kind of stupid. Like, just give us a real tank, right? Like, why do we have Italian? I don't get why we have, like, Italian tanks that are worthless, but we don't have, like, you know, Italian weapons that were actually good. Like, I don't know, that kind of frustrates me, and I'll talk more about that later, but, yeah, the Italian tank destroyer is stupid. I don't think it should be in the game. Just kind of dumb. The Grant is fine. The Grant is great. I know Enlisted really loves the Grant. I don't really love it. I think it's fine. It's not amazing in my opinion, but it's good. It's a good addition to the campaign. But yeah, poor vehicle choice is pretty obnoxious. Voice lines. The British currently have the German native commander or whatever, the guy that like yells at you that you're losing the objective and stuff. They have like the German one, which is kind of funny that's happening. I'm sure that'll be fixed, but just figured I'd mention it. And then the British voice lines are kind of weird to me. Like, they yell really weird things. Like, they're yelling like they're really angry. Like, they're like, if you want to die, just come find me. And I don't know. I feel like the Brits would be more cheeky and more like dry humor, sarcastic kind of. And maybe that's stereotypical of me, and maybe that's kind of off base. But I don't know. Maybe I might be just too used to Company of Heroes, but I don't know. They're a little too hardcore for me, I guess. I don't know. It kind of throws me off. But that's, again, not a huge deal. The Italian voice lines I love. I think they're fantastic. Let's move on to the big one here, guys, is balance. Right now, the balance is pretty off with the campaign, which is kind of to be expected. The Axis are pretty trash because, like I said, the vehicles are pretty trash, and then a lot of the weapons are pretty bad. Specifically, the SMGs get really outclassed. The Beretta M41 or whatever the Beretta mod is, it's like a wartime modification of the other Beretta in the game, and it really just sucks compared to like the Thompson, which is really sad in my opinion, because I thought that the Italians would have really good close range weapons with like the Beretta 1918 and stuff like that, but they actually just ended up kind of getting trashed on, and like the Thompson is just so dominant right now. So the balance is pretty off, but I think that's going to be solved over time, you know, and especially once progression comes out, we'll probably see that get pretty balanced out. Finally, guys, Premium Squad. I know a lot of people are complaining about the Premium Squads in the game, and I understand your frustrations with that. Totally fair. Oh, I should also mention there's a lot of bugs in the game. I think right here, yeah, I spawned inside a rock, which was kind of annoying. I had to kill myself. But again, it'll be fixed. But the Premium Squads, I don't know why this motorcycle squad is $40. Like, I don't think that it should be. I do agree with the devs that, you know, the testing should be paid access, because as a developer, I know that when you make people pay for things, they're more likely to get frustrated and leave feedback over that. Like, if someone doesn't pay for something, if they get it for free and then they like get mad at it, they won't leave feedback. They'll just leave. Like, they'll just quit, which makes it harder to get good feedback. As opposed to someone who spent money on something, they'll be a lot more upset and they'll leave good feedback. That being said, I don't think it should be $40. I think, number one, you should be able to buy them separately and get access to either side, like you could with the Founders Edition of the game, the Founders Packs. You could buy any Founders Pack and get access. And then number two, like, I just feel like they're too expensive for what they are. Like, $20 for a motorcycle squad that comes with 3 dudes. Like, yeah, it's kind of a unique squad, but it's 3 guys. Like, premium squads are about grinding XP. You guys said that. Like, Darkflow specifically said that they're about grinding XP. That's the point of premium squads. They're not supposed to be good. They're about grinding XP. But the motorcycle squad isn't good, and it's not good at grinding XP either. So why is it $20? Make it cheaper. It should be $15 or $10 even. I think 15 is fair. I think 10 is also, I think 10's a little bit in favor of us. But hey, there's $45 P51C squads that are literally a standard squad. So, I don't know, cut us some slack, give us $10 squads. That's what I think. So, also, you'd get more feedback that way. So, I don't know, $10 seems pretty fair to me. Cut it in half and let us buy them separately. Or, if you make it $10, make it a bundle. But $20 for the whole thing, that's pretty fair in my opinion. $50, 50 euros, 40 US dollars, that's ridiculous in my opinion. I just don't, you know, you're not going to get good feedback from that because half the game is going to be bots. So, like, you know, who cares, right? It's not good feedback because that's how it is right now. Half the games are bots. Anyway, moving on to the ugly, guys, and this is going to be a big portion of the video because this is something that I'm pretty passionate about. If you were in my stream yesterday, you would have seen me talking a lot about this, and this is a big gripe that I have about this. And guys, it is the fact that there are so many repeat weapons in this campaign right now. And again, we don't have the progression yet, and I could look like an idiot yelling about this and yelling at the sky about this, because in the future this could change. And progression could be different, and maybe they're just placeholders, but I honestly do not think so at this point, guys. I think that a lot of these guns are here to stay, so I'm going to be talking about this. And so there are so many repeat weapons in this campaign. I think it is completely unnecessary. I mean, you can't make an Axis squad in the game without having repeat weapons, which is just absolutely ridiculous to me. There are so many Italian weapons. I mean, I did 20 level prediction video that had not all, but a lot of unique weapons, and why can't we have that? You know, why I don't understand why if I was able to do those 20 levels, you can't do something similar and then, you know, later on in the campaign unlock some of the more repeat stuff. But guys, the absolute number one thing for me here is the fact that the M1 Garand and the Gewehr 41 are both in game. I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that the Gewehr 41 should be in game. I don't think the M1 Garand should be in game. In Tunisia, that is. Obviously, they should be in Normandy. Or the 43 in Normandy, at least for the Gewehr. But regardless, point is, I don't think they should be in game. The Brits did not use M1 Garands. They bought like 30,000 of them. They tested them in 1943, and they didn't like them. I think they used some of them in Italy, I was told. But they did not use M1 Garands. They didn't like them. It didn't, you know, it wasn't up to snuff for them. They wanted to use the Lee Enfield. Also, the Lend-Lease costed money. It's not like there was an unlimited amount of money that the Brits could use to buy things. I mean, that's why they made the Sten, was because they were sick of paying so much for the Thompson. Like, you only had so much that you could really, that you could spend. Like, you had to pay that shit back, right? So, they didn't want to use the M1 Garand. Like, they had the Lee Enfield. The Lee Enfield was a fantastic rifle, and their doctrine was based around the Lee Enfield and the Bren gun, at least as far as I'm aware, and from the limited stuff that I found online. Again, this might all be off base, but the point is here, guys, is that this is historically inaccurate. I mean, there weren't even Gewehr 41s in North Africa, from what I've been told by people that know about this kind of stuff, because they didn't want to use them. The Gewehr 41 was terrible. It wasn't good until the 43. So I just don't think that they should be in the game. It's historically inaccurate in a game that really tries to pride itself on historical accuracy. I don't understand why we're going to have British soldiers running around with M1 Garands. And not only this, guys, but it's also incredibly boring. Like, I don't want to unlock the M1 Garand again. I want to use weapons that I haven't seen before. Why do we have 4 different campaigns if they're all so similar, right? In both the stuff that you unlock and the stuff and how you play, right? Like, so many of these campaigns just boil down to equip your whole squad with semi-automatic rifles, you know, the M1 Garand, the Gewehr 43, the SVT, the Gewehr 43 again, the FG 42, things like that. You just equip your guys with the semi-automatic weapon that you can. You give it to all your dudes, and then you sprint in, holding left click, spraying as much as you can, kill as many dudes as you can, switch to your next guy, do the same thing, rinse and repeat. Like, I just find that to be so boring. Like, for the 4th time, like, we have these beautiful maps with this beautiful pacing and these long-range engagements, and yet we're going to give everybody semi-autos that are just going to kind of ruin that whole engagement and ruin that kind of style of play. I mean, why? Why do we need to do that? I don't get it. Like, be historically accurate. Give the British the Lee Enfield. The Lee Enfield can take on any semi-automatic gun, especially the Armaguerra, the Italian semi-automatic weapon. That was honestly kind of bad, but it makes this really interesting engagement where, like, the Italians have an advantage in close range situations versus the British Lee Enfield, because the Lee Enfield, as good as it is not as going to be as good in close range versus a semi-automatic gun. But the Armaguerra also fires a really small cartridge. Is that the right word? Cartridge? Round? It fires a really small round, whatever. It's like a 9mm round or something like that. Like, it's a tiny little round. It doesn't hit very hard. It has like 11.8 hit power or something like that. Like, it falls off at range. It's hard to use at range, but it's really good up close. So that's really interesting to me. Like, that's such an interesting dynamic where you have, like, the Brits are good at long range, the Italians are good at close range. Like, I just don't see why we need to do the M1 Garand again, right? Like the Brits, they don't need it. Like, it doesn't need to happen for balance reasons. They just don't need it, in my opinion. And maybe Darkflow has tested this, but internally or something like that, but I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that the data would show that they need to have the semi-automatic weapon. To be fair, I really just, don't think that's the case from my hundreds and hundreds of hours playing this game. I really think that they could do it, and it would make the campaign way more unique. It would make it way more fun, in my opinion. And to be honest with you guys, it would be such a, different experience, right? And it'd be more historically accurate, for one. That's kind of the big thing. In a game that, prides itself on historical accuracies. And so, guys, I don't know. That's really just the big thing for me here. I don't think the Gewehr 41 needs to be in the game. I don't think we need these powerful semi-auto rifles. Leave them to the other campaigns. We've got the campaigns with the firepower. We've got Normandy. We've got, we've got Normandy. We've got Berlin. Give us some bolt action playgrounds. Like Moscow is early on, but Moscow even turns into semi-automatic, spam whenever you start unlocking those semi-autos at around level 20 or so. But that's one of the great things about Moscow. That's why people really like Moscow, and why I really like it, is because it's such a slower pace. It's really, really fun in that regard. And what I'm seeing with Tunisia is that it's just going to end up turning into these other campaigns where everyone is spamming semi-automatic rifles, and that's really just frustrating to me. I think that that's just not the best gameplay decision that could be made. I think that that's just going to end in, samey game experiences and samey game design. Honestly, and again, that's not even to mention the boringness factor of unlocking the same weapons again, and the historical inaccuracies. And you guys might be saying, like, well, Quadro, like, the Americans fought in Tunisia. They should be represented. And yeah, I agree with you. I think they should be represented, but they should be represented by having the M1 Garand as a weapon, because what's going to happen with our logistics system that we have right now is you are going to unlock the M1 Garand, and then you're going to give it to everyone in your squad, everyone in all of your squads, and then it is going to be incredibly silly because you're going to have British soldiers running around with M1 Garands, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. You're going to have all of your soldiers with M1 Garands, and I hate that. I think that that's totally silly. It doesn't cater to good gameplay or a unique gameplay experience. It's just going to feel like the other campaigns. So I am very much so against that. I don't know what you guys think in regards to that. We can have the Americans represented in the campaign. We can have the M1 Carbine and things like that. You could have a premium squad of Americans with M1 Garands for all I care. But I don't want to have every British squad running around out there with M1 Garands. I just think that that's completely silly. And I think that it just doesn't, it's just not a good gameplay decision. It's just going to be boring, and I think it's going to drive people away, especially with Hell Let Loose coming to consoles and with Battlefield 2042 coming out. I mean, I think that that's a mistake. I think that you need to lean into that historical accuracy, because Hell Let Loose has this same problem where everyone has these firepower or high firepower weapons. So I think that it needs to be brought down, guys. I really do. I think that if you're trying to do this, you're going to end up turning the game into Battlefield and into Call of Duty, and it's not going to work the way that we want it to. But that's it, guys. That's the end of my rant here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Maybe I'm totally off base. Again, my goal as a content creator is really to try to be a voice for you guys. So if you guys totally disagree with me here and you guys think that I'm an idiot and you're fine with the M1 Garands, then please let me know, guys, and I'll shut up about it. I won't tell the devs about it. Like, I'll keep my opinions to myself, because really I want this game to be a game for all of us, and I want to try to be kind of the voice for you guys, because I think that I have slightly better access to the developers. I obviously don't have a telephone directly to them or anything like that, but I have slightly better access than you guys, I suppose, for whatever that's worth. So again, I just kind of want to be a voice for you guys. So let me know your guys' thoughts. If it's differing from mine, I'll shut up and I'll give your guys' feedback as best I can. But if you guys agree with me, then go and let the devs know on the forums. Complain. That is how they're going to know. That is how they're going to see these things, and they're going to make these changes. So that's it, guys. Remember, you can always come follow me, twitch.tv/HeyQuadro, discuss these things with me. Join the community Discord. Love to have you guys over there. Chat with us about these kind of issues in the game that you might see or might not see. I'd love to have these good quality discussions. And again, guys, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Helps me keep making these videos for you guys, because eventually I'm going to run out of money and I'm not going to be able to make these videos as much. So as long as you guys keep supporting me, I do appreciate that, and it really does help me out. So again, thanks for watching, guys. See you later, and take it easy. Also, I ended up losing this game.